They say that some moments in life are fleeting, so brief that if you blink, you'll miss them. And yet, some of those fleeting moments carry a weight that lingers far longer than we expect. For Dylan Wang and Shen Yue, one whisper on stage became a memory the world could never forget. It happened on a night like any other, at an awards ceremony packed with flashing lights, cameras, and an audience holding its breath. Fans had gathered, eagerly waiting to see their idols shine, to celebrate achievements, to cheer for talent. But no one expected the quiet magic that would unfold in that single second. The stage was alive with applause, the air thick with excitement and energy. Shen Yue walked gracefully, her dress catching the light, her smile warm, yet humble. Dylan Wang followed close behind, calm, collected, but with an intensity in his eyes that spoke of something deeper than mere admiration. For fans watching from home, it seemed like any other appearance. The actors exchanged words with presenters, posed for photos, smiled politely. But some things cannot be hidden. Not by fame, not by training, not even by the bright glare of spotlights. It was then, in a moment so subtle, that the world noticed something extraordinary. Dylan leaned slightly toward Shen Yue, his lips barely brushing the air near her ear, and whispered something, a whisper that was meant for no one but her. A word, a phrase, a confession, no one would ever know. The cameras did not catch it. The microphones could not record it. Yet, fans felt it anyway, because there was a shift, a soft, almost imperceptible change in Shen Yue's expression. Her eyes softened. A smile curved her lips, quieter, warmer than before. Her hand instinctively touched her chest, as if the sound of that whisper had left a mark deeper than words could reach. Social media erupted the moment fans pieced it together. Clips of the event flooded timelines. Slow-motion edits attempted to capture the fleeting whisper. Speculation ran wild. What did he say? Was it a joke or a confession? Is this real or just chemistry for the cameras? No one knew for certain. And that uncertainty made it all the more intoxicating. The beauty of that moment was not in the words themselves, but in the intimacy they represented. Because in an industry built on performance, where smiles are polished and gestures rehearsed, a whisper is as raw and honest as it gets. It is a connection that cannot be faked, a vulnerability that cannot be hidden. Fans began to analyze every detail. The tilt of Dylan's head, the way he leaned slightly, just enough to speak without others noticing. The fleeting glance that followed, as if checking her reaction, hoping the world wouldn't notice. Shen Yue's response was equally telling. A subtle blush, a quiet laugh. The kind of reaction that only comes when someone speaks to your heart rather than your ears. The whisper became a symbol. For fans, it represented love in its most delicate form. Love that doesn't demand attention. Love that doesn't shout. Love that is quiet, tender, and yet undeniable. It was proof that their bond was real. That beneath the public appearances, there was a connection that neither fame nor scrutiny could erase. Looking back, some might argue that it was just a fleeting moment, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But for those who understand love, it was monumental. It was a whisper that carried weight, a gesture that spoke louder than any declaration, a moment that proved, without words, that they belonged together. The media, of course, tried to explain it away. Just playful banter, some articles suggested. On-stage acting, others claimed. But the fans knew better, because the truth of the moment is not in what was said, but in what was felt. Over the next few days, the clip circulated endlessly. Edit after edit attempted to slow down the frame, zoom in on the expressions, capture what cameras could not. And still, the magic of that whisper remained just out of reach, like a secret only the two of them shared. Dylan Wang and Shen Yue themselves did not comment. They let the moment exist quietly, allowing it to breathe, unspoiled by explanation. Perhaps they understood better than anyone that some experiences are too sacred to be dissected by the public. Sometimes the beauty of love is in its mystery, its subtlety, its ability to linger silently in the hearts of those who witness it. And linger it did. Fans continued to discuss it weeks later, months later. It became a benchmark for their chemistry, proof that their connection was deeper than any scripted scene. Every award show, every interview, every appearance was viewed through the lens of that single whisper. Fans looked for small touches, subtle gestures, anything that reminded them of that night. Some wondered what words could hold so much power. Was it a simple compliment? A private joke? Or something more profound? An admission of feelings too deep to say aloud in public? The the truth remains unknown. And perhaps that is exactly how it should be. Because love does not always need to be announced. It does not need the spotlight. It does not need witnesses. Sometimes, love is strongest when it exists quietly, between two people, in a fleeting moment no one else can capture. Dylan Wang's whisper was a reminder that intimacy is not about grand gestures. It is not about public declarations. It is about being seen and understood by one person, even for a single second, in a room full of strangers. Shen Yue's reaction proved that the moment had mattered. Her subtle smile, her softened eyes, the way she held herself differently afterward, all of it spoke volumes. It told the world, without a word, that she had been touched, that she had been moved, and that the bond between them had grown stronger because of it. In the weeks that followed, fans continued to analyze their appearances. Every shared laugh, every glance, every gentle touch was seen in a new light, because after that whisper, nothing would ever be viewed the same way again. Every gesture, no matter how small, carried the weight of intimacy, the unspoken promise of connection. Some critics dismissed it. Just chemistry, they said, acting for the cameras. But those who have ever loved quietly, who have ever experienced a whisper that changed everything, knew better. Love does not always make noise. But when it speaks, it can resonate louder than anything else in the world. Dylan Wang and Shen Yue continued their careers, filming, promoting, attending events. Yet, fans always remembered that night. That night when the world didn't notice. But they did, when a whisper bridged a gap, and two hearts communicated in silence. It is a story of love that doesn't need words. A reminder that intimacy can exist in a glance, a touch, or a whisper. It is proof that some connections are undeniable, that some bonds cannot be ignored, even in the glare of fame, cameras, and public attention. Years from now, fans will still replay that clip, still speculate, still whisper to each other about what might have been said. And in that replaying, the magic persists, because it was never about the words themselves. It was about the feeling they carried, the moment they created, and the love that grew quietly, between Dylan Wang and Shen Yue, on a stage full of lights and millions of eyes. And that, perhaps, is the most beautiful part of all, because sometimes the greatest acts of love are not announced, not broadcast, not documented. Sometimes the greatest acts of love